Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean Penfield, and I believe that I have a gun control solution. And I know this is a touchy issue, and no politician wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole in fear of political suicide, but this is something that needs to be talked about, and I believe that I have a possible solution. Now, what I'm suggesting is mandatory training for people who purchase weapons, extensive background checks, a group of doctors come together at a federal level to determine what mental illnesses are capable of having a weapon, and the creation of a federal law enforcement agency that makes sure that the laws and regulations that have been created are abided by. Now, the training portion of this solution is common sense. When someone buys a weapon, they'll go through a training program that is relevant to the weapon that they brought. And the training program would cover anything from safety to how to disassemble, clean, just make the person safer around that weapon. Now, and this will be relevant to the weapon that they bought. They won't have to go through any extraneous training or anything. They buy a handgun, they go through a handgun training course. They buy a rifle, the same thing goes for that. Now, moving on, the background checks. This is a self-explanatory thing, and this is just common sense again. Keeping weapons out of the hands of the people that shouldn't have them. Common sense stuff. All right. The board of doctors, these doctors, psychologists, and psychiatrists would determine what mental illnesses are capable of acquiring a weapon. We've seen people with mental illnesses go on rampages, as was the case with Sandy Hook. And we need to ensure that events like this do not happen again, for the sake of our children and pretty much everyone. And finally, the invention of the Firearms Safety and Enforcement Bureau. This would ensure that the weapons are still in the home that they were originally purchased in, and that training is complete and up to standard. This will just is the icing on the cake to make sure everything's working out how it should. And listen, I understand that the gun culture is huge in the United States, but the extreme options suggested by either side of the aisle are not possible. The gun extremists on the right want to turn this nation into the Wild Wild West. We can't have that. It's lawlessness. It circumvents this democracy that we've put into place. And the extremists that suggest that no one should have any weapons, that will never get passed, especially in the political climate that's here in the United States. We cannot. With that said, we cannot accept another mass shooting like what's happened in Sandy Hook, in Arizona, or on numerous military bases over the last 2 years. After these events, instead of restrictions getting tighter on weapons, they've become more lenient. How does that make any sense to anyone? Now, to those of you who are against this idea, specifically to the NRA, stop staring at people and making claims like, quote, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, end quote. And, quote, politicians pass laws for gun-free school zones. They issue a press release bragging about them. They post signs advertising them, and in doing so, they tell every insane killer in America that schools are the safest place to inflict maximum mayhem with minimum risk, end quote. This was said by Wayne LaPierre, who is the NRA's executive vice president. Stop trying to scare people. We need to work towards a solution, not scare people back into their hobbit holes. And to Congress, work together so we can stop tragedies like Sandy Hook from happening again. Stop concerning yourself with your campaign funds and do what's right. Look into your heart and do what's right, and you know what's right. And finally, to the people, think about what you were really advocating when you're advocating for limitless guns and gun rights. You're advocating for everyone in the nation to have the ability to carry around a weapon capable of killing numerous people with the thoughtless twitch of a finger. Again, something needs to be done. We're one of the only first world countries with no gun control, and this is unacceptable. We have unacceptable violence in this country, and it needs to end. Thank you for listening. Again, my name is Sean Penfield, signing off.